All right. Okay, I held off for a good long time making an episode anything like this. I mean, I thought it would be fun to talk about these kinds of things, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to alienate anyone in my audience, and I don't want to purposefully push anyone's buttons. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, I do that all the time. I piss people off even when I'm not trying to piss people off. I could be talking about my opinion on a watch and people think that I am just devil incarnate. So here we go. Let's talk about some of the most hated people in the world and the watches they wear. It is 2:34 p.m. Let's get down to business. So up top, I mean, I'm not really going to add myself to the list, but I'm sure someone watching right now hates me. I am wearing a G-Shock Neo Tokyo. This is the DW6900 module, my favorite G-Shock pretty much ever. But actually, moving on to the list, we got to start with Joe Biden. That's right, President Joe Biden. Now, if you told me he can tell time, I would say that you're f***ing lying. So he has been seen wearing a few different watches, everything from Seiko to Omega to Rolex, which is the watch we're going to be talking about right now, a Rolex Datejust 41 blue dial. Moving on to one of Biden's good buddies and probably mentor and perhaps caretaker, Barack Obama. Now, whenever people talk about Barack Obama and wristwatches, they typically talk about the Rolex Cellini. He's been seen wearing a few different watches, but the Cellini is really the one people want to talk about. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Cellini line, like at all. I think it should just be totally dissolved. But here's a nice one, I guess. Next up, Hillary Clinton. Now I gotta be careful. I'm not trying to get, suicided. She's been seen wearing a Chanel J12 in white ceramic. Speaking of getting suicided, Jeffrey Epstein. Now there's a few pictures of him online wearing a wristwatch, and the funniest part is when you type in Jeffrey Epstein wristwatch, there are like forum posts of people being like, can you identify this watch? What watch is he wearing? I need to know what watch Jeffrey Epstein's wearing in this picture. Like, I don't know if everyone is trying to make an episode like this talking about Jeffrey Epstein's watch collection, but it looks like in this photo that I'm pulling up here, he's wearing a Luminox, which is, not a good watch. So not a good watch for really not a good person. In fact, a terrible person. Probably one of the worst people ever. Moving on to another person people would argue is potentially one of the worst people ever. George Soros. This is a very bad photo, but when you enhance, it looks like it's a Patek Aquanaut. And online, a lot of people are agreeing in this speaking engagement, wherever he was wearing a Patek Aquanaut. Another hated gentleman, if we can call him a gentleman, Putin. Now, I could make an entire video about just Putin and his watch collection. He has insane watches, and he's a big fan of Longa. But in this photo, he's wearing actually not a super popular watch at all, and it's not because it's hyper expensive. This is actually probably one of his more affordable watches. It's just not a very common watch to see. It's a Blancpain Aqualung. Next, we're going to talk about a very polarizing figure, Elon Musk. Some people love him, some people think he's the worst. He's been seen wearing a Tag Heuer SpaceX chronograph. Makes sense he would rep that watch, because that watch is repping his business. Moving on to just a terrible person, Osama Bin Laden. Now this is kind of humorous as well. When you type in Osama Bin Laden wristwatch, the first thing that shows up on Google is Casio's own website listing for the Casio F91W. I don't think Casio is totally proud of this association, but it's funny how Google aggregates information and just brings that up. So yeah, I'm sure Casio's not stoked about it, but I know a lot of people really love this watch. I don't think that they like it because it's associated with Osama Bin Laden. I hope not, but that is the watch that he famously wore. Or infamously wore, I suppose. And last but not least, perhaps the most hated person ever, Big Don. That's right, Donald Trump. You knew I had to mention him in this episode. And honestly, regardless of your opinion of him, he has 3 bangers that he's been seen wearing. Just awesome watches. Rolex Day-Date in yellow gold, a watch I own myself. a Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse, which is another very nice vintagey, kind of elegant watch with a very unique case shape. And perhaps my favorite watch on the list, this very uncommon Vacheron. This is the Historique Ultrafine. It's a square-cased Vacheron, and again, very elegant. People are going to be upset that I am giving Donald Trump props for his wristwatches, but those are objectively just very cool watches. But there you have it, an episode that will probably get me in trouble, if not with my viewer base, definitely with YouTube. So if I'm even able to make another episode, I will catch you on the next one. Love you guys. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman. The Time Telling. Always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.